in the Middle East sent a serious warning to the Israeli army via social media in the evening of this day, when Israel's operation preparation and ongoing operation will have disturbed Iran. Yes, some balances will change in the Middle East, but only while the Israeli government conducts operations to heal its own wounds and find those responsible. Iran has announced that it will intervene in Israel if the Gaza operation continues. The Israeli army and President Netanyahu said that our soldiers are ready to fight heroically in the face of this attack on our country, and that operations and planning for Gaza are continuing at full speed. As the Unique Eyes team, we have prepared a video of the latest developments to convey the latest situation from Gaza to you. Let's all start together. Israel had intended to invade Gaza this weekend, but postponed it due to bad weather conditions when air support would be limited. However, we have seen that there is a helpful air-to-air support and operations in Gaza this evening. As you know, the most important thing before a ground operation is air support, and the Israeli army is waiting for exactly this support. Middle Eastern countries are still feeling the effects of the battle between Israel and Hamas. The battlefield is enormous, stretching from the Egyptian border to the Gaza Strip to the Lebanese and Syrian borders. Hamas has carried out attacks in Tel Aviv, the West Bank, and even East Jerusalem. However, Israel has today begun a massive strike on top Hamas officials. The Israeli Air Force launched this offensive operation, which primarily targets the Gaza Strip and settlements in the vicinity of Gaza City. The Nuba militants of Hamas were the target of a series of airstrikes by the IDF. The attacks were directed at their operational command centers. Israel claims that the Nova is made up of hand-picked militants sent on missions by senior Hamas officials, including ambushes, raids, attacks, and infiltration via terror tunnels. Therefore, the IDF claims that the Nova was a pivotal infiltration unit for Hamas into Israel and Gaza. Israel's destruction of the Nova terrorists' Gaza building did mitigate some of the threat, though. Israeli airstrikes in the Gaza Strip and in the direction of Egypt resumed in an effort to destroy Hamas commanders. Another ported Hamas militant leader was killed in Israeli air raids that hit the south and southwest of the Gaza Strip. An IDF airstrike killed Mohammed Abu Shamla, a senior Hamas naval officer in the Rafah Brigade. Abu Shamla's home served as a safe haven for naval weapons that were later utilized in terrorist attacks against the State of Israel. However, the supposed senior Hamas militant was killed in the Israeli air attack. Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, the IDF spokesman, announced today that Israel had also killed Mustafa Shaheen, a Hamas agent who recorded and broadcast the militant group's murderous attack on southern Israel on Saturday. The most recent information from the Israeli Defense Ministry suggests that Musa Nasser, a purported high leader inside Hamas, was also killed in the northern Gaza Strip. After these operations, Tel Aviv claimed that 1,500 Hamas militants had been killed within Israel, with another several hundred slain in Gaza. Israeli airstrikes also severely damaged or destroyed more than 35,000 homes in Gaza. The reported death toll has risen to 2,000. About 4,500 people have been injured thus far. As a result of the crisis, it came to light that Israeli Merkava tanks had been spotted approaching the Gaza Strip's official border. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has been discussing the possibility of a ground offensive in Gaza. Another sign that a ground attack on Gaza is imminent was made by Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who said that the attack on the soldiers had begun in the air and would be continued on the ground later. It seemed clear that after the deaths of so many Hamas officials, Israel would begin a ground assault on the city. Artillery fire from Merkava tanks has already begun in the vicinity of Gaza. According to reports, this artillery assault resulted in the deaths of a dozen Hamas fighters in the town of Nairam. Hamas is in a tight spot as a result of the ground assaults on Gaza. However, the terrorist group's members have tried to reverse the situation by blackmailing Israel into ending its massive bombardment of Gaza. Hamas promised to execute a prisoner for every house in Gaza that was bombed without warning, while holding Israeli soldiers and civilians hostage. However, Hamas showed no indication that it would carry out its threat today. The hostage crisis is Israel's Achilles heel. Hamas is aware of this, and ever since the fighting started, they have threatened to kill the Israeli hostages they are keeping. Gazans are no better than the Israeli hostages held by Hamas. Israel has imposed a total blockade on Gaza, cutting off the territory's 2.3 million residents from essential supplies like food and fuel. In addition, the Rafah border crossing with Egypt is operational, but it is closed to residents of Gaza. Egypt has turned away thousands of Palestinians fleeing the Gaza Strip, where they have been subjected to bombing by the Israeli Defense Forces. The government of Cairo also rejects the notion that its territory could be a route for Palestinians who have fled the fighting to travel to other parts of the Middle East. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi made the crucial declaration. The Times of Israel reported on the Egyptian leader's statements. As a result, the remaining Palestinians in the Gaza Strip are effectively cornered inside the active war zone. According to this, both sides are allegedly holding hostages. We've established that Hamas now holds hostages, so it follows that the population of Gaza is effectively being held in an open-air prison. Officials from other countries are also working to put an end to the fighting. Pope Francis has, most recently today, pleaded with Hamas to free all hostages. Even though Francis is concerned about the total siege the Palestinians in Gaza are enduring, he acknowledged that Israel has the right to defend itself after a day of celebration turned into a day of sadness. Tayyip Erdogan, president of Turkey, has remarked that Israel's response to the Hamas attack was disproportionate, as it bombed civilian homes and prevented people from obtaining food and shelter. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has previously stated that providing humanitarian aid to the Palestinian people is not an option, but that the European Union should re-evaluate its financial support. Along with these declarations, some truly remarkable things happened in Israel. Ex-UK Foreign Secretary James Cleverly can be seen in a video clip uploaded by the Israeli Foreign Ministry on social media sprinting towards an Israeli building as a siren sounds. These instances illustrate how genuine war has become and how hopeless the situation in the Middle East has become. However, not every experience was genuine. Many people have paid close attention to social media posts that aim to disseminate alternative perspectives on this conflict. The U.S. called on big tech to remove unlawful content after a surge in doctored photographs, mislabeled films, and unfiltered internet violence relating to the Israel-Hamas conflict. We have considered the dark side of the war. To what extent, then, does anyone believe that they have the key to ending this conflict? Western reports claim that Hamas lacks the resources necessary to fight Israel on its own. Israel may be forced into its first two-front conflict since 1973 if there is an uprising in the West Bank and ongoing attacks by Hezbollah and Iranian-backed militias in Syria. Attacks and infiltration efforts into northern Israel by Hezbollah-backed militants from these locations have already occurred on occasion. Now that we have all the facts, we know that Iran is the decisive factor in this conflict. The United States government claims that Hamas and Hezbollah are Iranian proxies. So, the longer this battle continues, the more likely it is that Israel and Iran will be at odds with one another. If Iran decides to show all of its cards, there is the potential for a further escalation of the situation, which may involve the United States. In this regard, the cooperation of Turkey is absolutely necessary. The leader of Turkey has expressed his outrage at Israel's strikes, but it appears that he is also willing to play a role as a mediator in an effort to bring an end to the crisis in the Middle East. Recent statements made by Turkish President Erdogan have been particularly outspoken over this problem. The government in Washington, D.C., places a strong emphasis on Turkey's role in this matter as well.
Wow. Okay, good day, everyone. We are all welcome to tonight's live stream. And just as the topic explains it all, we are going to be looking at the war between Israel and Hamas, though we know that this war is escalating beyond just Hamas now. Is going into Lebanon, extending into Iran and the likes. If care is not taken, this can be more than what the world can chew. And as a result of this, I would quickly like to play my own role by trying to pass on some message to fellow African brothers and sisters to watch out by being very, very careful on this matter, because my best of advice is that Africans should stay clear out of this trouble that is looming in the Middle East, and is not this trouble is not prepared for the Middle East alone. This trouble is prepared for the whole world if care is not taken, if proper attention is not given to it, instead of Africa facing its own challenges, trying to curb or stop the war in their own domain. If care is not taken, we might be wrapped up into a war that we are not prepared for, because we already have war in Africa. We have numerous wars in Africa. And just like how it started, that Ukraine Russian war started just like play, started just like something that is going to end the following day. But we now know that we are beginning to count years, and we it is better not to start a war than to think you can resolve any challenge through war. Give it a very closer look and think through. There is no conflict in the world that has provided the needed solution to the challenges. Rather, at the end of the day, if they must still resolve their challenges, they still have to come to the round table to talk. So why not let majority of these be handled properly there, whatever kind of negotiations, whatever kind of sitting together to consider the human aspect of loss that can be incurred in war. And we already know that there's been a lot of okay, I think I have. Oh, Chukudi. I have Chukudi here with me. How are you, Chukudi?
I'm well. Can you hear me well?
Very well, very loud and
Okay,
clear.
sir. My last name is Barrack, Barrack. It is derived from my grandfather, and my grandfather is Lebanese.
Whoa.
So I have got you know, a bias built in because you have that home team aspect where you're like, oh well, I want my people to survive. 2.2 something million people packed in a very small area, and a large military confronting them on a huge level. I mean, shutting out power, water, elderly people. We're talking about children here. Uh, you know, this is not good in the modern world at 2023. We're looking at an open air prison turned into an extermination camp. How do you
Mm,
feel about this?
mm. Uh, that is something that is beyond comprehension, because we in Africa, we know what it is to live across the world, even in our own continent, under suffocation by aliens, by foreigners, by the Western world.
Correct.
We understand what the people in that region might be going through, and it's just something that you don't want to be on the receiving side. But
No,
more also, we I know that you're still going to go into that aspect also, so that we can balance things well. It is also very, very important that numerous countries, numerous nations, whatever the group might be, they need to consider the side effects of their actions, because every actions will always have a reaction, so that the
yeah,
innocent people
backlash,
are
right? A
not put.
backlash, right?
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah,
yeah, a backlash. Hmm.
yeah, so that a small group of people, or a small set of government, because there is no government of any nation that is as large as its population. And what happens is that whenever issues like this arise, the firecrackers are not always, because there is a saying in Africa that says that actors know they die. The real actors of such startup of the trouble. Most of the time, they are not the one at the receiving end. They don't die cheaply. It is the millions of people that are in their homes that do not sign any agreement, that do not know anything about going to Israel or to Turkey or to anywhere to go and kill. These are the first set of people, these are the major set of people that fall, as in fall into the ditch, and majority of them may never get their life back. Okay, you can continue.
Yes, sir. That is correct. It is a top-down monarchy that comes from colonialism, and the usage of the people as chattel, to make them vote, to make them understand that a system that they're supposed to invite a free chance to make a change has never been and never will be and has always been corrupt. There is no such system as freeness when a top-down colonialist system has oppressed everything from the beginning. I mean, this is obvious.
Hmm. Hmm. So true. But let's quickly look at this. I love what Rustin is saying here. Rustin H says they are trying to provoke conflict with Iran. Iran just joined BRICS. They don't want Iran to support BRICS with its oil. You know, one good thing about the world of internet is that you are bringing billions of people to interact with their different way of assessing situations and the likes. And do my question now is, does anyone have the same belief? Does anyone have the same thought line, like what Rustin is saying, that they are trying to provoke Iran? But before you answer that question, let me ask this question, because I sat down and I was asking myself these questions. One is that Israel is known to have experienced lots and lots of wars, and that has made them to be always very agile, very ready to defend themselves, to protect their citizens, and to be ready to dish out, necessary attacks on anyone that attacks them. Okay, fine. And Israel also has this security devices that they call the dome and the what have you. With all the Israeli intelligence and the likes, my question, my, my little question, my little question has been, right from the continent of Africa. My little question has been, how possible would not
Right.
even not even a country now
I mean, you already
is
occupy them. You already
is
occupy them. You have the most intelligence in the world. You have the best security system in the world. You have martial law placed upon a society, and yet an attack happens. I mean, give me a break.
you know what, I'm just telling you how I'm thinking about it, and I was thinking, oh, Hamas, a very smaller group of people, came
Yeah,
into
that's right.
Israel. They cut off. I even saw video of
Okay,
how
can I
they
cut you off real quick? Can I cut you off real quick? Do you actually know how Hamas got started?
and yes, I do. I will
It
come to that. Let me just,
yeah, the PLO, right? You know about this, right?
yes, please.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, and the funny stuff is that they came in through numerous means, land, air. My God! And I was like, wow! If this is happening to Israel, what will happen to Africa?
I know, right? Fear,
What?
fear.
Let's. I was like, what will happen to Africa? Oh my goodness! They came in through the land. There was no nav through the land, through the air. The Air Force couldn't detect them on time. The sea, the naval could not detect them on time. My goodness, this must be a very spiritually strong invasion. Like
Oh my
no,
God! Yes.
no. And I was thinking. Then something told me this. What if what if Hamas had just played into the mouth of the lion to carry out a strike that was already, they envisaged it. They wanted, As in, I'm just telling you my mindset that this was a strike that they envisaged the possibility of it occurring. But we also know that Israel, during their celebration, most of the time, that is where that is one time that
Yes.
maybe the opposing people try to
Yes.
strike at them and the likes. And I was also expecting that the Israel of 2023 should have read through the pattern to say, now we are not all going to be just partying around. We are going to put some system in place to checkmate any. Oh my goodness. But
Well,
when
excuse me. Well,
but
excuse
when
me.
this happened, let me
Well,
balance it so that it's not one-sided. But when this happened, let me tell you, whether something happened that my mind can still not connect the dot because I'm still trying to connect the dots. When this happened, it still does not give leverage to any human being to enter into a country and begin to kill its people, take away the residents, kill children and the likes, and you will think there will be no reprisal attack. No. Now, so I'm seeing the two side. I'm still working on the permutations to understand what is really going on, how this defense system in Israel certainly became like lesser than the defense system you have in Africa, and all of a sudden thousands of people were exposed to danger. And for Hamas to have not sat down to really think of the implication of what they are doing, that if they go against Israel, do they think that Israelis will sit back and enjoy the movie? The horror that was caused there? Definitely no. And would they not have calculated the reprisal attack that will go on millions of people? I want people from that region to come on board and talk to us so that we can really understand, because I'm telling you, with what just played out, is beginning to occur to me that there is no much difference between a country that has defense system and the majority of Africans whose Western world have destroyed their defense system, because we
right.
have
You
we
are
have
seeing their weakness now. You are seeing the weakness. That is true. That's a very good point. They're not as collaborated and organized as you think they are. They use their propaganda techniques to think you are under their, they want you to think, right? But yes, they do have a military might, and they will use this. The question comes down to a two-state policy that got rejected by Yasser Arafat. And that's when Bibi got in. And when Bibi gets in, uh, it's been all war since he got in. I mean, uh, Itzhak, the assassinated guy, they made peace with Jimmy Carter in Egypt and everything, and he gets assassinated. Itzhak Yabin. I mean, what is going on with Israel? It was dedicated to them by a colonial power through the Balfour Agreement. I mean, I'm sorry, but if we're funding a state that was based on the colonialism, the old monarchy of Rome, basically London, we're sitting here in this aspect in our world, and we're just finding out. I mean, I'm not saying anybody's a latecomer to the game. Obviously, you're not. But when religion is used as an aspect to divide us, we have a problem.
Okay, that is where I want to really come in now, because this is my message to Africans. Majority of the African states have already been divided along religious lines and the likes. But let me quickly run through for us the three most popular religions in Israel. One is the Jewish, what's it called? What's this? Their practice? Am I? It's not even Christianity that is the first in Israel. The first religion is the Jewish religion. I've forgotten how they coin it out. Followed by, I'm talking of Judaism. The first religion in Israel is Judaism, followed by
Correct, correct. They believe that they are the chosen people.
Yeah. So Islam is the second largest there. Christianity is just third. So please, fellow Africans, this is not our war. We should not borrow any idea from the war going on between Israel and what's it called, and Hamas, as far as I'm concerned, because it is not our war. Because I see some people already standing up and shouting, "Oh, they are going to support this side; they are going to support that side," based on the fact that Africa has been, should I call it polarized? Africa has been divided along religious line, and they press such religious button when they want to get us involved in their problem, not in their wealth. Now, I wouldn't want a situation whereby Africans are now beginning to say, "Oh, we are Muslim Africans. We will support what's it called, Hamas, and the Christian religious Africans." And I say, "Oh, we are going to support Israel to fight this war." It is not our war. Let's stay clear. Let this not bring enmity between our brothers and sisters, because we do not belong to any of these parties that are at war presently. The best we can do for them is to to come in between them, to try to see what help we can render to them, so that everybody can be at peace, not taking side. This is not the time for African Muslims to now be seeing themselves as enemies with African Christians. No. Or African Christians to be seeing themselves as enemies with African Muslims. In Israel, the Israel people that you want to die for, they do not even practice, the larger percentage of them do not practice the so-called Christianity that we are practicing in Africa. What they are practicing there is Judaism in full scale. So, and the largest number, the second position in religious followership there is Islam. So you see mosque, and you see what's it called, temples, and you see mosque and temple side by side, and you see Christianity thriving by the side. So we should not allow anybody to cajole us. That's where I'm going to with this video, because with this live stream, because majority of the time when the so-called world powers want to capture us, capture our mindset, capture our resources into the use of war funding to destabilize the world, they press that religious button, and that makes us to lose our sense of common sense. Because without this common sense, you will not be thinking, why is Israel's border certainly become exposed? Which is the question I want the world to be asking. All of a sudden, the dome are not working. All of a sudden, the Air Force, they are not able to intercept
The
this.
billions of dollars of taxpayers, the billions. We've given over $250 billion to Israel. One question I want to ask you, Dale. In America, they call it Judeo-Christianity. And the reason why I would think a lot of people that believe in the Bible is that they believe in that Jerusalem is the homeland. And is it ironic to you that the Balfour Agreement given from, Lord Balfour, to give Palestine away, in a sense, to the fact that because of a Bible that they have the right? Is this something that you feel like that should be disdained from, or are we to learn something from this?
When it comes to that matter, I will choose to stay out, because most
So
of the
you
time,
don't like touching Zionism, right?
yeah, I will.
Yeah, because you do believe in the Bible, right?
I believe in the Bible, 100%.
Okay.
I
Okay,
believe in the
so
Bible,
but
but when it
so
comes, let me clear this. when it comes to the issue of matters like this, it
That the
is always
Jewish people, wait, you're saying that Jewish people should have their own state. That's the matter of this, right?
definitely everybody has
Okay.
entitlement
So
to their own
what
state.
okay. So how did the Jewish state come about?
See, let me stay clear on this. I do not want to dabble into that because I believe on the principle of fairness and I believe on the
So
principle
you
of
think
not
it's fair for Palestinians to be occupied by this these
listen.
people?
I believe every human being has the right to live, just like I am in Africa. I didn't create myself to be in Africa. So I do not want people from the Western world to come and invade my continent by putting all this garrison, because just in the ancient world they call it garrison. The Western world is putting garrison all around Africa, calling it whatever military occupation. I do not subscribe to that in my own country, in my own continent, and as such, that is why I am staying away from what I do not know in depth, because this has been ongoing war before time, and
Oh yeah,
everybody
it's a 3,000 year old turf war. Okay,
so
and
so
basically, does that wait a minute? Let me ask you. So this goes back to Abraham, right? This is the Abrahamic religions. We're talking
yeah,
about.
brothers and sisters, yeah,
Okay,
they are, we are talking of, that's why I'm saying my own concern is Africans stay away, stay clear, it's family business.
okay. So you're saying that the what religion would Africans want to have to settle a peace agreement? What would they use to settle a peace agreement between Israel and what would they give you as a reference?
As a reference to settle between the two, between
Correct,
the two warring.
because you said you had a reference to this understanding because you know your country can be has been attacked and in other words you've been through it. So what would you offer as a
It's not even being through it. Africa is still going through it because the Western world, when I mean the
yes
Western world, is still a cluster of some smaller percentage of people that are power drunk. They want to explore the world, and not just exploring the world, they want to exploit the world of the Africans. They continue to occupy the land of Africa, create more problem for us in Africa so that they can continue to take our resources cheaply out of this continent. So now back to the issue of the Israeli. These Israeli, Hamas, all those in the Mediterranean region and scattered across the globe, I just believe this, that it is their family business because they are from the same father. If you trace both of the religion back, they are actually coming from the same father. We are talking of Abraham getting married to what's it called? Is he a guy or what have you? Now legitimacy, ownership of right, and what have you, the main principle to life, to peace in life is what? Live and let live. Live and let live. And nothing gets settled by going to war. Everything in this life can be settled amicably when two
Yeah,
parties sit down.
but wouldn't you think that's like a utopian type of like okay, yeah, we want that, but it's not our reality. You know what I'm saying? In other words, this is not that is not happening. That is not happening. There is no reconciliation. There is nobody talking peace agreements right now between the two countries. There's no intermediator coming in and say, "Hey, whoa, stop this, guys, stop this." You don't see anybody jumping in. Do you see anybody jumping in?
Okay, now if we are saying we do not see anybody jumping in, that is where the problem lies. The whole world should jump in, not to, that's what this live stream is about, that we should not take sides. Both parties, to me, both parties are at wrong point in one particular point in time. Now when I say both parties are wrong, because there is no disparity between the good and the bad when a missile is launched into a community. The bullets do not ask you the questions, are you part of the airstrike to Israel or are you not? It goes, it destroys home, it destroys people. The same way lives has been destroyed in Africa. This is what is happening now in between Hamas and Israel. Now, the good thing is that we have the what's it called, the world powers, whatever association they call themselves. We have numerous countries. These countries are supposed to come in on time to pacify the two warring parties, of which, if we like, we call it Israel and Hamas. We know that this is Israel and Palestinian war. It's just that we are trying to be nice to say, oh, this is between Israel and Hamas, because who are the Hamas? Who is Hamas? Hamas is just a little fraction out of the Palestine people that are occupying the Gaza Strip and the likes that we are mentioning here, just to make it a little bit calm and the like. So numerous countries that have their coalition. This is high time that the UN should perform its role in coming in between the two countries so that they.
Oh, you brought up the UN. Okay, this is what that you got to be kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you. If UN.
Israel has violated so many United Nation sanctions. They've been voted out several times for what they've done to the Palestinians. Are you really making it? You're saying a new? Oh my God! You don't.
No, now
Wow.
listen. When I say UN, I know what I'm saying. When I say UN, the use of the word UN, if it's actually playing the real role, United Nations, which we are.
If you're saying if it was,
If
but it's
that, yeah,
not.
yeah,
That's the
no.
problem. It's not.
I'm saying this now without bending my mouth unequivocally that if UN is playing the real role by the name is going by, if it's actually doing the right thing to Africa and the rest of the world, this is the time to prove it, because they need to step in now that this rubbish must stop in between the two parties,
It's
because
way too
you,
late.
you don't
Way too
you,
late. It's way too late.
there is nothing too lost to be found. There is nothing too late. It is better late than never. But if everybody continues to carry out ammunitions and say, okay, you know what, I'm supporting you, go and kill. Are we killing
No.
mosquitoes?
What I'm
We are,
saying is, if the United Nations fails and fails and fails and fails and fails, and we sit here and you say, "Oh, it's not too late," I look at you and I go, "Wait a minute. How much longer do you want to wait? They failed so many times. I mean, do you think the United Nations has ever prospered Africa?
you know, the funny stuff is that if you're asking question about the United Nations, I think asking an African like me, it might be one of the spark
I
of
mean, this
another
should be
time.
an obvious question. This should
We
you should
we
you
in
should be able to
Africa,
understand this.
we know that the UN and the AU, UN and African Union, um, if actually they are to go by that name, then we should have seen more results from them. But that doesn't still neglect the fact that we expect them to play the necessary role to answer to the call of their name. United Nations, African Union, you are talking of bringing things together, making things work by the look of the use of words. So it is time to put that formation to test now, instead of we having instead of we having one country coming to say, oh, you know what, these other people do not deserve to live, wipe them out. No, that's not what I'm looking for. And that's why I am doing this live stream, that my fellow Africans, we steer clear. We should not go and say, oh, I am African Muslim, I am supporting this party, I am African Christian. We better, all of us, we better shut up in Africa, because we have a lot of trouble that these Western people have caused us, and we are still grappling in it. So many of us, instead of using technology, we've resorted into praying to solve our problem, because the Western powers will not leave Africa alone. They continue to create more problem for us, and they sell weapons to our people so that we can continue to kill ourselves. So if the Western world or they are having their own war, either in Ukraine, either anywhere, we better stay clear. Let us face our war. Because I was looking at what was going on. They look at all the countries they are showing. I was like, are you sure this is really a war zone or this thing? Because I was seeing some of these places, the kind of buildings, the kind of streets that they have, those are lovely streets that are being brought down into rumble.
You guess what else is lovely? The F-16 jets that America has given to Israel, and they got all types of weapon systems and funding from America. And these are taxpayers. And by the way, these people are Zionists. And for every single person that believes that Israel has a right to exist and that they are the chosen people, what you're doing is making the difference between God and reality. The reality is people are dying, and then the opposite side is saying God has that right to kill these people. And that's what's going on.
Yeah, when you are saying God has the right to kill the people, let me just borrow from that statement. The same way the Western world is looking at, I might be very, very distracted here. The same way the Western world is looking at, they have more rights to life than the Africans. And most of the time, they believe Africans do not really have that, do not have that. Major important role to play in the world. And if it is possible to even do away with the Africans and use their resources, whether they like it or not, the Western world is ready to do that. But that is not why we are here today. Why we are here today is to caution our people, to talk to our fellow Africans that please, let's sit down. Don't let us be carried away with religion, because before the Western world introduced the religions to us, we have our own system of worship to God. We have our own system of relating to God that was there. And as such, we receiving whether Islam or Christianity, we should still have our sense to know that the basic needs of life is food, clothing, shelter. Food, clothing, shelter. And anyone that takes any of this out of one's life is not doing the right thing. Look at the bombings, it's destroying building. Look at the bombings, it's destroying the lives of people, it's rendering them homeless. And you see little babies, some of them are already dead, some of them are amputated and the likes. You have family, women are being raped. On both sides. We are not talking of just Iran. On both sides, the calamities are going on. As we are talking, they are shelling, they are releasing. I was looking at it, it was just like fireworks, as if it was Christmas Day, and there are a lot of fireworks, and these are bringing buildings down. And I said to myself, how many of these skyscrapers must go? How many thousands of family must go just because a little group of people decided not to be at peace with each other?
Okay, well, this is a good time to talk about who created Hamas. I mean, do you know who did? I mean, I know.
The creation of Hamas was one of the greatest mistakes that Israel will be finding means to forgive themselves about, because when they saw that man on wheelchair, when they saw him on wheelchair and the likes, he grew underneath their nose. He breathed up a different kind of system right underneath their nose. And I know that whatever aim they use him for, because they wanted to get at the third party and the likes, now they are regretting it. The same thing, thank you for mentioning that. The same thing is happening in Africa. Majority of the Western world, they come into the continent of Africa. They set up terrorist group. They set up, they call them militias. They set up militias so that they can continue to disorganize us in Africa, so that they can continue to steal from us without being checked. And now, this is one of the reasons why the African continent is still struggling to survive at the expense of the lavishness of plenty they're having in countries like France, a France that cannot exist without the continent of Africa. riding on the blood, spending the blood money that is inscribed in the name of the Africans. Now, Madam Claudia says this situation is the same scenario as apartheid in South Africa by the invasion of the Dutch and British, also the invasion of North, Central, and South America by the Christian, Portuguese, British. Whoa, whoa. So,
Yep, that's absolutely right. She's 100% right.
you see, is both. I mean, I'm not here to take side with anybody. Both parties, in capital letter, you are both wrong. You are both wrong. But we also note that it is very offensive, it is very painful to find out that the people of Israel will just wake up to a well-coordinated attack that took the life of their citizens. And do we expect them not to take action? They will take
So
action.
you're admitting this is a long design plan, over 100 years old. You would say it was at least over 100 years old.
What plan
I mean,
is that?
well, to dominate by using what we have currently, a war that could bring us to a nuclear war, and disrupt society in such a way that nobody's going to be able to function properly anymore.
You know, the funniest stuff, the bottom line is this: everyone across the globe, not even just Africans now, everyone across the globe, just take it from me. I am not reading it from anywhere, but I can see the plotting of the graph of World War III across the
Yep.
globe. They are
Yep.
spreading it, they are spreading it, they are spreading it. There is one going on in Ukraine and Russia. There's another one that they try to put one in Africa. Let me even tell you, maybe you do not understand. The you know, some things move. The spiritual conditions in the world moves. Presently, my own Jerusalem. If I tell you my own Jerusalem, you'll be shocked. My own Jerusalem is anywhere that gives me peace, and I'm in Africa. Africa is my Jerusalem. So we should get that mindset of knowing that wherever we are staying part time is our own Jerusalem. So people should not be carried away that they want to go and fight one war in Jerusalem, leaving your own continent to be exposed to invasion, because we have gorillas that are still waiting for Africa to be, you know, majority of these countries, I just laugh at them. They would have been happier if this massive war was going on in Africa. Now, back to what I was trying to say. They also tried to pull war in Africa. Where in Africa were they trying to stage this war to be burning? They looked at the whole of the continent of Africa. They picked the largest country in Africa, which was supposed to be Nigeria. They wanted Nigeria and Niger to be at war, so that by the time Nigeria and Niger are at war, there is problem in Nigeria, which is the giant of Africa. A majority of these people Palestine is very, very small compared to Nigeria. Nigeria is bigger than how many times of Palestine? You know, when I was even hearing the population there, I was like, wow, are they joking?
But aren't you like you're a Christian, correct?
I'm a Christian.
Yes. So aren't you in the, I don't know what is Sunni and I don't know what Shiite, but aren't you is Africa like in the northern part? Not, I mean, it's mostly Muslim, correct?
Africa?
Yes.
When you say
Like,
Africa, I'm just
the north. I said the northern part.
No. When you say Africa, that's one this thing that the Western people should know.
Okay. Okay. I need to. I want to learn this.
Africa is too big than what
It is. It is. You're right.
what
That's
people are
a
having on
great.
the map.
That's a
So
perfectly said.
Nigeria. I live in Nigeria. I can answer for Nigeria. I cannot answer for majority of the African states because
That is excellent. I'm so glad you said that, because
yeah.
my stepfather was from Liberia and he left during the coup. And
Okay.
that's one of the phrases he said to me, is it's too big. It's too invaded also, he said.
Yeah. So I live in Nigeria, and we know that in Nigeria the population of Muslim to Christianity is almost 50-50. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm listening.
The population of Christians and Muslims in Nigeria is almost 50-50, because
Are you?
majority of,
I did not know that. You're saying
I'm
that
saying
there's
that
okay,
majority of this in Nigeria, I'm not saying Africa, in Nigeria is
okay.
50-50. 50% Christian, because apart from that, we still have traditionalists. We have the major African religions, which the Western
No,
world.
no. Why would 50% of Nigerians accept the Bible? What would be their reason for it?
Their reason is anybody has the freedom to believe whatever they believe, they want to
Okay,
believe.
simply live
And
so others may simply live.
that has been the
But
character of Africans. We have the right to believe whatever we want to believe. If it's stone that you want to worship, you are free in Africa, until the Western world came in. And the Western and the Arab world came in, some through good deeds, some through force and the likes, and just like that. So everybody have grown in that part. Majority of people have grown in that part. Some have said no, they are not doing any of the two. They want to continue with their traditional beliefs, so they have their right to that. So, but in Nigeria, Muslim and Islam operating side by side, and that is why this discussion is very, very important, so that I have Muslim friends, I have traditionalist friends and the likes. So the traditionalists, they do not even have all this challenge with all these people fighting war in Israel, fighting war in Hamas and other stuff. But the challenge is my so-called Christian brothers and Muslim brothers, so that they will not go and start allowing these tricksters, because I call them tricksters. Somebody is trying to trick the world into world war.
okay, so let me ask you this: there's three Abrahamic religions. There's Islam, Muslim, and Christianity, right? I mean, excuse me, Islam, which is Muslim, and then the Judeo and Christianity. Of the three Abrahamic religions, is there supposed to be one that is better than the other?
Are they what?
Is there one that is supposed to be the one religion of the three that is supposed to be the one that understands the Bible the best?
Which the one amidst the three: Islam, Christianity, and
There's three Abrahamic religions, right? What are they again?
they have different what's it called? They follow. The Islam follows Quran. They read Quran
Correct.
rather. Islam reads Quran. Christianity reads Bible. Judaism, I
And
believe they have their scrolls
is
and lights.
well, the
So
Torah,
why are you
right?
saying
The
Bible?
Torah.
They
It
have.
well, yeah.
So why are you saying which of them follows the Bible more? So they have
Well,
their different books.
if it's Hebrew that the Bible was written in,
Mhm.
so that's a fact? Is if I'm not mistaken, correct? The Bible's
Mhm.
written in Hebrew.
Originally, yeah.
Correct. Okay. So was Ethiopia one of the first places that had the
I
Hebrew
want us
Bible?
to revisit your question before you go to the next one, because I have answer for that. Can you
Okay, go
ask
ahead.
that again? No, ask that question again
No,
about the three religion. You said something about the three religion. That which
yeah,
one?
if one of the three religions
Mm,
um, th- uses an argument that says my Bible says this, so this is what they call hermeneutics, right? So it's on the way somebody perceives the Bible, correct? You heard about hermeneutics, right? You
I'm
never heard
listening.
about you never
No.
heard about it? Okay, well you need to study hermeneutics. Hermeneutics is the understanding of how people uh, translate the Bible. Certain people translate it in one way, and other people translate it in a different way. Do you understand that? So it's not two sides of a coin, because a coin has an edge. So there's three sides, and the fringe of the coin is the least, it has the least percentage. Okay. And I'm kind of an underdog, person. So if you're saying that the Bible has a Judeo Christian, it's like, the Jews were considered the chosen people. Do you believe that? Yes or no?
That one is very clear. The Jew. When you say the Jew, who are the Jews? Let me
Right.
ask you a question. Who
Well,
are the
was Jesus a Jew? Yes or no?
That's what I'm asking you. Who are the Jews?
I'm asking you that. I'm asking you, was
Is
Jesus
Jesus
a
a
Jew?
Jew? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So if Jesus went to the temple and he so supposedly turned the tables and said some things about the synagogue of SAT. I mean, was Jesus rebelling, or was he the type of person that wanted to send a signal that said these are the bad people? Do you think that Jesus was trying to send a message?
And hello. See, firstly, I want to clear something because what you are going into is a different topic entirely. And when I want to go into that, I will focus everything on it. But let me quickly answer this. When you
Yeah.
say, is Jesus a Jew? Hmm?
Yes, the Jesus
Jesus,
was a Jew.
Jesus,
Everybody knows that part.
Jesus is a Jew.
Yeah,
And who
yeah.
am I? I asked you this question. Who am I? Am I a Jew or an African?
Well, you have to decide that.
So anybody can decide what he wants to decide. I can tell you that
Oh, this is
I
this
can
is the issue. This is
I
the
can
issue.
tell you
Anybody can decide anything they want.
yes. Now
Okay.
that is where faith comes in. Faith.
Okay. So you have faith. You have
So
faith in a
now,
book
if
called
you
the
have
Bible.
faith, if you have faith in yourself that oh, I'm a Jew because my life is this way, it will flow for you. If the other person says, I'm an Islam, I'm a follower of Islam because this and this will work for me. Fine, let them be. And that is where the problem is. The Western world is always trying to enforce something on people.
Okay. Well,
Even
let
God
me
does
give you a
not.
piece of. Let
Even
me give
God.
you a
Let,
piece of it.
let me clear it up. Even God does not force human being. Even God does not enforce anything on human being. What he does is he gives his free will. Even his advice is not compulsory. It's free will. If you want, you follow. If you don't want, you follow your way. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm listening.
So whenever human being tries to tamper with that free will decision, that's where the problem is. And have you heard the word black Jews? Have you heard the word black Jews?
Of course, I have.
Okay. One of these days we
I
are going to
mean,
talk about
I mean, I
the
mean, we're that's one of your videos you did about on the Rastafarian thing.
and apart from that, if you look at the Bible that the Christian world is carrying, the description of Jesus was not the pictorial mindset that the world has about him.
Yeah, I
Jesus,
mean, was he
the description
white?
of
Was he
Jesus
was
was
Jesus white? I mean,
the description of Jesus in the Bible is purely African
yeah, I that's what
because
I've been saying. Yeah,
the,
for a
the
long
white
time.
the white people do not have woolen hair.
Oh,
We are the
yeah.
ones that
What? So
carry
that
woolen.
would so would that mean that the people who are right now in Israel, would they not have conquered the Bible by saying they are the chosen people? I mean, this is confusing to me.
It should not be confusing to you. When we'll
Well, it
dedicate the
is.
time.
I mean, I already know my answer. I'm just
Okay.
bringing this
Are
up for the
you,
topic.
let me ask you this question. Are you and what's it called? Are you an American citizen?
I am currently.
But you just told me now that you're from Lebanon.
My grandfather is from Lebanon. He was in the
So
military.
Okay. So if your grandfather was from Lebanon, then that
Correct.
means you are from Lebanon.
My
That means
grandmother
you
is
are
from my grandmother.
you are
You are. I
East
already told you my
African.
background. I am quarter Greek. I'm quarter Lebanese. I'm quarter Irish and quarter German.
Okay. So that makes you a little bit of almost
I'm
everything.
half Europe and I'm half Arab.
Okay. So now with that being said, that means a single individual can belong to different origin all in one. We'll deal with this, but let's get back to our topic today, which is talking about what is currently going on in Israel. We went through all this reasoning from left, right to center. Why? Because we want to address a singular fact that all human beings have the right to life, and we all emanated from the same parent. And it will be very, very disturbing for anyone to think that they have more rights to life than the other. And this is what the Western world has continued to do to Africans. And as the Western world has continued to do this to Africans, they have been very successful at this evil till they did the mistake of allowing this to go around the world of the Africans. With this, we can now educate our people about the game plan of the Western world, in which they have been successfully carrying out in silos, because we do not have access to this then. They have been doing a lot of cover-ups, coming to do good in the open, and at the back they are the one that have been creating militias, creating problem for us, just like we have the Hamas of today that they are complaining of, which was formerly a tool that was also used by that was also used by the Israeli camp, or what have you, government as at then, to win themselves over some desires. Now the same militant group is the one that is launching an attack at them, and their attack was so well coordinated that it took Israel off guard. Now Israel is launching full-scale attack on Gaza Strips and the likes, and the whole world, we are watching. We should not be caught sitting on the keg of gunpowder.
Right, right. And this statement that Claudia, Madam Claudia, has brought up at
Okay.
the end. Guess the name at the instituted by Theodore Herzl. Like I find that very interesting that she actually understands. I mean, of course she understands. She knows better than probably me or anybody else, but it's a weird institution that's instituted, like she said. It's instituted, a plan instituted. Do people get that?
Okay, she said the documentary Who Controls the Now declared that Israeli wanted to come to Uganda first before Palestine, a plan instituted by the Theodore. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes. I mean, do you know who Theodore Herzl is? You don't, do
No,
you?
no, no.
He's a Jew. Okay. And he was you need to do some research on this stuff. Okay, you need to look this up. Okay, so you understand more about what you're talking about. This is exactly what she's saying. She's saying the documentary Who Controls the Nile in Africa declared that the Israeli wanted to come to Uganda first before Palestine.
No, no problem. They want to come to Uganda. They will meet us here in Africa, because we are not just some layback in any caves anywhere. But the bottom line is this, Madam Claudia, if you have a time or two, you can come online so that you buttress your point. But what we are looking at today is simple. It's clearly simple. Israeli. Okay, I think Madam Claudia is here. Okay. So, Madam Claudia, so nice to have you. Can you hear me? I think you
Give her,
are.
yeah, give her a second. She's gonna get there.
Okay. If I would like you to buttress your points on what you just stated here, because Africans need to be aware of a whole lot, and the earlier the better for us, so that we can steer clear out of trouble. But my advice still goes to a lot of Africans: this battle between Iran and Israel, please let us stay very, very clear from their trouble, from their battle. It is their battle, and whatever they believe in, if this one believes that is superior to the other, let them be in the right position to come to a round table, so that they can dislodge their mind from whatever level of annoyance. But to think of pulling Africa into battle, we should stay away from this, because what I see is like some planned mercenaries, some planned gamers that want the whole world to be set on fire. But it's also evidence of the last time on earth. It's also evidence of the last days on earth, because in the last day it is documented that a lot of these things will be happening. Nations will be fighting nations, kingdom will be fighting against kingdoms, even fellow brothers will be destroying themselves, and they will be calling, and they'll be so proud of killing each other, and they'll be saying they are doing service unto God. That is not the God that sent them some of this evil that they are perpetrating. So it is high time we return to valuing human lives. So, Madam Claudia, can we have you talk to us, please?
You gotta unmute yourself.
Yes, you need to unmute yourself. You are muted. Madam Claudia, you need to click on unmute button so that we can hear you. We can't hear you, and I'm sure you say something
Can you
right
hear me
there.
now? Satchel?
Yeah, very well.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good
Good night, Satchel. Good
evening.
night, Jim. Very interesting topic tonight.
Wow.
Yes, yes.
So you were saying something about the situation is the same as apartheid in South Africa by the invasion of the Dutch and British, also invasion of Net Central. Can you buttress on that?
Yes. Can you hear me clearly, Satchel?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Yeah, because I'm having a disturbance in my phone. Okay, I'm going to put
Okay.
on, my husband is here with me, so he's going to talk to you more.
Okay. Actually, this is what I wanted you to even where was that particular statement you made? You made mention of the documentary Who Controls the Now declared that Israeli wanted to come to Uganda for. So I'm not privy to this information, but I think I've read up something on Who Controls the Now, or a documentary or so. So if you can buttress these points so that we can all learn from you, we are always available to learn. So now, Jim,
Yes,
hello.
sir.
Do you have your people still back there in Lebanese?
I only have cousins.
Okay. Now let me state this clearly. This war might be spreading massively to Lebanon also, because I heard as of this afternoon that there are infiltrations from Lebanese into, what's it called, into Israel, and Israel is also launching attack against some part of Lebanon. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Whoa! Oh, so nice having you here, sir.
Yeah, good evening to both of you. Yes.
Good
Very,
evening,
very
sir.
hot topic, as you know.
Hmm.
The thing about it is that this, first of all, I'd like to preface by saying all wars are bankers' wars.
Okay.
Smedley Butler.
That's right. War is a racket.
Hmm.
And the next one you got to research is Beyond Treason. But
Beyond
this all
treason.
started with the Balfour Agreement with the British, who
Like
forced
I
those.
said,
Mhm. Go ahead.
No, continue, sir.
Okay, yes. Okay, I'm just saying. First of all, the identity. We're dealing with identity. Number one, if you're dealing with the scripture, what they call the Bible, the identity of the first people on the planet have to be between Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq. That whole area, the western boundary of the Garden of Eden is the Nile, goes across to Saudi Arabia, western Saudi Arabia, all the way to Iraq. Because in the Blue Nile or White Nile, the White Nile from Uganda, the Blue Nile from Ethiopia, then you go to your Euphrates and Tigris in Iraq. So that whole
yeah,
area included the Garden of Eden. But the first humans, based on the Bible and based on scientific discoveries, the oldest bones so far have been found in Ethiopia, between Ethiopia, Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. They've also found some old bones in Zimbabwe. But if you're going to go to the origin of human species, then it has to be an African origin. That being said, then that means that the people who are posing as the inheritant of the Judaic tradition could not look unlike Africans. They have to look like Africans. A perfect example
correct.
of this,
Yeah,
a perfect example of this is Moses. When Moses put his hand in his bosom and it came out white as leprous, he put it back and came as his other flesh. The opposite of white is black. The opposite of light is dark. So if Moses was put in the Nile River by his mother and entered into the courts of Pharaoh, he had to look like the Egyptians. He could not look like a Caucasian. Else would have been easily discovered. So we know the identity of the first people on the planet had to be of African origin or dark skin origin. The problem here is that what you call occupation here is no different than occupation of the British and Dutch in South Africa, where they imposed themselves on indigenous people's property and declared their own state. The same thing took place in North Central and South America with the Portuguese in Brazil and the French and Dutch and British in North America and Spanish in North America and Central America. So now Central America is called Latin America, but they don't speak Latin; they speak Spanish. So why is it called Latin?
that's unreal.
It should
That's
be called
unreal.
Roman America.
That is unreal.
It's Roman America because the Catholics are in South America and Central America have the largest population of Catholics for one place in the world. So religion, the origin of religion, we're trying to figure out here. Where did these religions originate? Why were they originated? And who were the people who originated them? This is the main question here. So if we look at it, the geographical area of the scriptures is as I mentioned earlier, is in the African continent mainly.
But
It's
was
only
it
after the
called
Greek scripture
Samaria?
went
But
into.
was it Samaria? Was it Samaria like the other people want to call it? Yes or no?
Well, one of the problems is that the location of Jerusalem or Israel, according to the Genesis 2, it mentioned Gihon as the name of the they call it the name of the river, one of the heads of the river. It's Pison, which is Uganda, which is the White Nile, and the Gihon, the Blue Nile. But in Chronicles and in Kings, it showed you where I think Solomon was anointed next to the Gihon, which is Ethiopia. So the problem is identity and location. You see what I'm saying? If we look into the Random House English of the dictionary, under the definition of Semitic, it says a subfamily of Afro-Asiatic languages that includes Akkadian. Okay?
Is
Uh,
Akkadian Arabic now translated, or is
no,
that
it's
incorrect?
different.
Okay,
It's a different language. Akkadian, Arabic, Aramaic, Ethiopic. You see
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Thank you. Thank
Phoenician
you.
and Hebrew. So all these are different. These come in the category of Semitic languages or Semitic peoples and Semitic culture. Conspicuously absent from that list is Yiddish. You notice that, right? So that means that if Yiddish is not mentioned as a definition of Semitic, it means that the people who speak Yiddish are not Semitic. You understand what I'm saying? So if we want to get the definition, we'll go to Genesis 10, the table of the nations, with Ham, Shem, and Japheth. In Japheth, you're going to find the birth or the category of the Gentiles. And in Genesis 10:5, it says, by these were islands of the Gentiles occupied in their lands. But before that, you have Japheth. Then you have Gomer. And then you have Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz is a son of Gomer, who's a grandson of Japheth, not Shem.
And
So
right,
if Ashkenaz,
isn't it? Wait, isn't it pronounced Ashkenazi?
Ashkenazi, well, that's the plural. But in the
Okay,
Bible, it's
okay,
Ashkenaz singular as a son.
isn't it ironic that Nazi is what we call a Nazi?
And that is hitting the nail. I didn't know you were a carpenter. You hit the hammer right on the head of the nail. Perfect. And it's right in for, see, it's saying when perfect lies are told, the truth becomes unbelievable. You're seeing right in front of your face the name, but yet denying its origin or its meaning. Ashkenazi or Ashkenazim. This is what's stating here. It's not anything we made up. This is in the definition in the dictionary. So it identifies who you're speaking of. And the problem is that, like what happened in South Africa and North Central and South America, it caused wars because the indigenous people of that particular place felt intruded upon by the invaders. You see what I'm saying? So the same thing happened up there now. What's really sad, and people got to remember the historical narrative. First of all, it's not a coincidence. This war took the same place, started the same time as Yom Kippur War back in, I think it was 73. But Egypt and Syria attacked Israel. So it's not this is a planned attack. This is like the Twin Towers I mentioned when I last spoke to you on Ethiopian New Year on September 11th. This is the same scenario.
Yeah. And it was a
It is a
6-day
false flag.
war. It was a
Exactly.
6-day war.
Correct. So what we have happening here is that because these people are put in somebody else's property, and not only that, they want to tell the people, like I come to your house and tell you can only go to the living room and the bathroom. You can't go to any other part of the house. That's what's happening here. So the problem is that both Britain and America support that particular occupation, especially by financial funding in the billions every year. Every administration, at least since 1999, gave financial in the billions to that occupation.
Yeah, and every president has to go to the wall because the Likud make them, sign a pledge that they have to go to the wall with their little tiny hat on and put a little note in the wall, right?
Again, the worship of any person, place, or thing is idolatry. Period. I mean, that's just plain old simple English. One of the most egregious things about the situation here with Hamas is that because of Arafat and the Palestinians, Israel chose not to support Arafat and the Palestinians and instead chose Yassin, Sheikh Yassin, who was in a wheelchair. He got an injury as a child, so he couldn't walk. They supported him contrary in opposition to Arafat and the Palestinians. So again, what's going on here is no different than when the United States supported the Mujahideen, what they call Taliban today, against Russia in Afghanistan. Same thing. So now what that has caused is a conflict because you're supporting an illegal occupation. You see what I'm saying? And it's going to be continuous because the problem is that by allowing, that's another thing we have to take clear here. Because of the meticulous and what you call security system of that country, the occupiers, it would have been impossible for that invasion to take place under normal security measures of the occupier. That
Yeah, it's a
means it was
false
allowed to
flag. It's
happen.
a false flag. Yeah, it's a false flag.
Exactly, exactly. You see, it was allowed to happen. They secure, especially the paratroopers, would have been easily taken out, without a doubt. So we have to look at it again as a perfect false flag, a perfect lie. An excuse now, the same with America. They had an excuse now to win bomb Afghanistan, bomb Iraq. Are you aware that the first night in the first Gulf War, the amount of bombs that were dropped in Iraq was equivalent to World War II and World War One and World War Two combined in one night?
And on top of it,
That is just
when
unbelievable.
and on top of it, when Bibi came to the United States Congress to address the House, he got 29 standing ovations.
Wow. Wow. It's a very serious situation. As the brother was saying, the host was saying earlier, we need to mind our own business, but it's still going to affect us because we have our own issues on the continent. You know what I'm saying? Major issues, conflicts as well. So we need to focus on that because that is our first charity begins at home. You see, but the main thing happening here is all wars that bankers war. They are allowed to happen to create instability on the planet and to also put a small screen after other things that are actually taking place to our detriment by the Antichrist forces.
Divide
You
and
see what I'm saying?
conquer.
So yeah, you see what I'm saying? Divide and conquer, and also to hide. This is like a decoy. These things that are happening in Ukrainian war. Why is the Ukrainian war taking place? What's the reason for that? What's in Ukraine that they have to protect? All these questions we have to ask. Obviously, it's something they're trying to protect there. I really can't say it on this program, but it's a serious situation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well,
So
they
we have
they know
this.
they know they know they know the piggy bank is Africa. They know it. With the minerals, the ability to extract minerals, to keep their economic falsehood of materialism running amok and creating what we call a false economy that's based on a fiat dollar. I mean, folks, we need to wake the heck up real quick, real quick.
You got cut off.
I didn't cut out. No, I didn't cut
No,
out.
okay, I can
I'm
hear you
still
now. I
here.
wasn't sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, he can see and hear you. Okay, got you. Just double checking. I just be quiet because I want to hear. If
Jim,
Yes,
Jim,
I.
just a second. Excuse me. Jim, Mr. Setcher is gone. He probably lost power,
Say
electricity.
again. Oh, oh, they have. They've dropped
Setcher,
out.
he's not there.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll watch my words.
He probably lost
wow,
electricity. Ah, that's it.
wow. So that's what happened. So I wonder how long he was out.
I
It
noticed that for
happens.
the
It
last at least 50 minutes.
Wow.
no, no, but not 60 minutes. About
It's because
25.
of his connection for Nigeria.
Yeah, the power goes out late at night
Wow.
sometimes there. He's not been back, but it's okay. We just keep ourselves
What is
kosher.
this? That's a mess. And that's a oil. That's such a
It,
rich country
there he
to
is.
be
There
going
he
through
is. He's back. He's
you know
back.
what I mean? Come on, man.
Um,
Okay.
you know
How
the
much you
funnest
miss?
stuff. I know I miss a lot, especially when you are giving some details about what has been happening before now. But you know the good thing is this: the day the whole world begin to remove sentiment and siding one part of religious belief and the other, and just think straight as humans, then we have a better world.
Yeah,
Most of it.
but isn't the mosque the temple of the rock? I mean, isn't it built over supposedly a old Jewish? I mean, they say Palestine doesn't exist in their history. Is that true? Can anybody else fill me in on that?
Maybe if you have a Palestinian, I might be forced to believe that very well. If you have a Palestinian that can confirm what you just said now, then I might be able to believe that because let me tell you, anybody can say whatever they believe. Because I've realized in life that majority of the time there are more than two sides to a story. The one from party A, the one from party B, and the one
That's correct.
from someone that can generally see across bias.
Right,
So,
because even a coin has an edge. So
so
there's three sides to a coin.
okay. So we have to, whenever we are talking about issues like this that matter very well, whenever we are talking about issues like this that matter very well, I don't want to just be blind in believing what people are saying because you can get it all wrong. You can get it all wrong a lot of time. Now,
Uh,
looking at the topic before us, I want to ask Madam Claudia's husband, what what will be your own explanation as to the fact that Israel was met unprepared for this war?
Again, that is a very good question. The answer is simple. It's no different than what happened to September 11th, 2001. What's happening here is this.
Thank God you
The,
said
the
that.
reality
Just
here is
thank
this.
God.
The link. First of all, Israel's defense is meticulous like the Pentagon. The Pentagon could not have been hit with a plane.
250 billion dollars of American taxpayers' money. Yeah, it better be good.
You see what I'm saying? So what's happening with it was allowed to happen, my brother. I was when you were out. This is the same anniversary of the Yom Kippur War of 1973, when Egypt and Syria attacked Israel. So it's a total replay of that particular time. The thing about it here is that with this systematic and very secure system of Israel defenses, there's no way that they could have been surprise attacked, even though it's a Sabbath, because the paratroopers, for example, though that's obvious, that's something wrong with that story there. You see what I'm saying? Secondly, they want to create an excuse to invade and demolish Gaza. So they have to allow some damage on their side to make it appear as they're hurt and they've been violated, so they have to return.
Okay, if I'm going to go with what you've just stated, yes, sir. Are you now trying to say that Israel will ironically allow some of his soldiers to be captured alive,
That's
some of his
exactly what he's
people
saying.
to
Yeah,
be
that's what
captured
he's saying.
alive,
Yeah,
so that
absolutely.
so that
They
they can
will.
wreak
It's just
havoc?
like the Gulf of Tonka. It's just like Pearl Harbor. Just like 9/11. That's what he said.
I find that very,
You
very
do. You find that suspicious. Okay, so you don't think that the own government, a principality of evil, a government is a principality of evil. And my viewpoint is, why is the most secure building in the world, called the Pentagon, struck without one only 1 second clip? The second question I asked to you, Dale, was how many buildings were destroyed on 9/11? Do you know?
two now. Is majorly two that we know of.
How
The
many
twin
how many buildings were knocked down on 9/11?
was it not the twin tower? Was it more than that?
Do you know or not? That's the question.
I know of two.
Okay, you only know of two. You never
Yeah.
heard of Building 7, have you?
No.
Okay. So obviously you're out of the loop. Okay. If you understood what Building 7 was, right? Do you understand there was a 47-story building that got what they call slight damage? It's right there in the World Trade Center. But three buildings came down on that day. Do you not know that? You didn't know that, did you?
I, I just took it
Okay.
like 2 toward 2. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't know it. You didn't know that a third building went down on that day. And did you know there was evidence and videotapes of officers and firemen walking out of the building saying, folks, get back. This building's about to go. Okay. Do you know how long it takes to demolish a building? It takes about 3 weeks to set up all the charges. Okay. Do you understand the fact that a 47-story building that was the FBI headquarters? Okay. Do you understand this? That Judy Giuliani had a secret, I mean, not secret, it was public, but a secure, that's what I meant to say, a secure floor where all the emergency aspects of a
Oh,
building was going to be
okay.
controlled. Do-
I
yeah.
lost you for a couple of minutes. Couple of minutes.
Okay,
That's
Okay.
okay.
yeah, but I was talking about building 7.
There's
Deo does
7 years.
not
Most
know
people don't
about.
know about that. Most people don't. And
Okay.
this is very serious because you see, what we're saying here is that you see it's called collateral damage
Okay.
or friendly fire, allowing your own to be hurt for the so-called. In other words, the end justifies the means. It's hard to
Mm.
believe, but this is the way of the enemy. This is the way of the beast power in the earth.
And
Sacrificial. Remember, no. There's a boat. There's a
and
ship name made off of the. Let me finish this last part. There's a ship made off of the metal, the remnants of the metal of the twin towers, and it's called, I think, the sacrificial
right, they took
ship.
the evidence and they shipped it off real quick to melt it down. On top of
Yeah,
it,
it's sacrificial.
just Dale, one quick question to you: have you ever
Okay.
known of any steel structure buildings to collapse due to a fire? On one day, on September 11th, 3 buildings, steel structures collapsed in one day, and that has never happened in history. Do you have a rebuttal?
Have I seen something like that before? Is that what the question is?
Question,
That
yeah.
is correct. Yes,
Ah,
that's the
yes.
question.
Yes. I've seen it before.
Buildings
No,
demolished,
you,
but
you
the way it's
no, you
done before
haven't.
is
No, you haven't.
done. No, he has.
I've
He has. Because listen here. Remember
I've
now,
seen
this was called a controlled demolition. The only way that can happen, as you described earlier, Jim, is through a controlled demolition, meaning that they were explosives placed strategically in certain parts of the towers to have a domino effect, to fall so perfectly and to fall at one session. It's only the firemen said they hold explosions in the building, and that's not the
And
top. This is you know what I'm saying? How can you hear explosions and you're to the bottom? It was
interesting
supposed to
that
have only one explosion would take place, and that was when the planes hit the tower. That's the only explosion. There's nothing supposed to explode. Everything's supposed to just crumble to a certain point. But when the entire building crumbles, that means it had to have strategically placed explosives at certain point, engineering wise, for the buildings to fall so perfectly.
I don't think Deo believes that. I don't think he does.
No,
let
but
me
see, again, it's a perfect lie. The same what happening with this war here.
let me
Remember now, we just mentioned that the defense of Israel is meticulous, one of the best in the world. There's no way, even though it was the Sabbath, that they would have allowed, especially the paratroopers. That's a obvious. That's a. I mean, that's obvious. Something's wrong there. They're
That's
floating
like
in.
the
Give me a break.
that's like the JV team playing
you,
football.
you
Come on, give me a break.
you know what? The way you people are beginning to sound, you are making it look like this was acted out, which I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
we're saying that. Yeah, we're saying that.
No, 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 no,
We're
no, no.
actually saying that. We're
I
saying it
Well,
was acted out.
let him finish.
I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that somebody is writing a script and the script is not well thought of because you people have been able to see some crack in the in the whole of this movie script that was written. Maybe it's something that will happen in Hollywood films and the likes. Because looking at what you are talking about, September 11, that the building came down, it is the force of the plane. The plane were coming with full force, and it was so much that eating the tower,
Yeah, you
eating
believe
the
that.
tower.
Okay.
Well,
Now,
let him finish. Let him finish his
listen,
thought. Let him finish his thoughts.
the tower, the tower is very, very high, very, very high, and the plane was
Correct.
coming with force, and it hit the somewhere around the middle or the tip. Now that force was so much that it has to break like a pencil, and the way it broke like a pencil, it was about falling this way, which would have landed this way, but another plane came up and said no, straight. So the force of the two planes made it to go down. That's the
No, no,
primary
no, no,
story.
no. Okay, no, no. Okay, let's stop here quickly. Remember now,
That's it.
the
That's
word,
the
the
primary.
key, no, but the key word here is twin. Let's say you said twin means two. So only
Two.
one plane each. One plane hit one tower, and another plane, two planes did not hit one tower. So
That means
what's happening? It's a twin.
that,
So let me just say me here quickly. What you have to
that
realize, my brother. Go ahead, talk. You go
that
ahead.
means you were not listening to my explanation very well. This
Yeah.
one was like this. They are twin building, no problem. One plane was
Right.
coming with boom, and the effect will not be only on this. The other, the second, the twin, because they are twin. Whatever happened to the twin building must happen to the two. So as this one happened this way, because there was vibration to the second one. So
No,
it's
no,
like it's taking
and
both of them. When
that's
this one
impossible.
comes this way,
Um,
it is
Deo,
it is
Do you
simple
understand?
mathematics.
Deo,
This
No,
Deo,
no, no,
Deo,
no. Okay, you see.
Deo, listen. The construction of an airplane is basically aluminum. If you think steel beams that are around the outside, which were the twin towers, it was an outside construction. It was a first-time technique where they put the beams of steel on the outside. If you're saying a aluminum-built aircraft could penetrate steel, there. I mean, you really need to.
do you know
Dale,
the
you're
kind of
really
plane we are talking of here? We are talking of Boeing. Boeing. You know what Boeing is made of? You don't joke with Boeing. You still don't get it. Must I use all my expression to explain to you that we are
No,
watching a world-class movie in this world where you don't have to believe everything that is being said, even by etceteras.
I mean,
Do you get,
good point. Good point. You see, the problem here is
do
this:
you
we
get
have to
me
leave the
now?
scientific
Mhm.
analogy of the whole situation. First of all, it's like a cannonball. A
Mhm.
cannonball can hit a structure, but it's not going to destroy the entire structure. It's going to bore a hole and demolish where it impacts. Only where
and
the plane
correct.
impacts is going to get
And
hurt.
not
It's going to get damaged.
and
But
not
when we
only that, but the building would lean to one side or the other. It wouldn't fall straight down.
exactly this what the control them. We've seen buildings like that. You can get videos upon videos of what you call destruction of buildings in the United States and other parts of the world, where they have a controlled demolition, where the building, instead of going falling toppling over, they fall straight down. That can only happen scientifically if you have explosives placed strategically throughout the entire length of the building. But you see, because of the hype, because of the propaganda, because of the fear and all the immensity of the attack, it appears to be true. The greatest weapon used against humanity is deception. So that is a perfect deception. You see what I'm
And
saying? To make it appear.
and
Go ahead.
Now,
and 22 years later, Deo does not know about Building 7. That's how
Okay,
good
he
it
didn't
is.
see the video. There's a video on that Sergio. There's a video I'm gonna try to get it to send to you. There's several videos, but there's
please,
one called Ring of Power. Ring of Power is a very 6 hour video. But once you see that video, you're gonna see exactly what's happening. You see, let me explain something to you. because of the intensity of the 9/11 attacks, a lot of information came out about secret societies and started to expose them. And what happened? In 2010, what happened? They brought out the different members of Sodom them, and they said it made appear it was just like a Boy Scout organization. I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a this, I'm a that. To kind of like what you call damage control. Because again, the nakedness of being exposed. So what we're saying, if you follow the effort, the method that they were using, the same effort, you allow something to happen the same way with what you call Pearl Harbor. They knew Japan was going to attack them, but they allowed Japan to attack to get an excuse to join the war. This is what you call.
And not only that, but if you go look up the stock records of the day that American Airlines was shorted the day before, people made millions of dollars shorting the stock the day before 9/11. And not only that, guess what happened before the day of 9/11? Donald Rumsfeld came up to a national press conference and said $2.3 trillion is missing and we can't account for it.
Let me find this thing. The reality, my brother, Psalm 2 explains what's happening here. It said, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth, presidents, prime ministers, governors, you know what I'm saying? Take counsel against the Almighty and the Mighty, saying, come, let us break their bands asunder and cast away the cords from us. This is a conspiracy from that time to now, with the same beast power, the same serpent throughout the world, moving through from past to present to future. So we have to.
How many times has that serpent been kicked out of a country?
Exactly. We have to. We have to. First of all, one of the main importance of education is to be able to identify your enemy. If you cannot identify your enemy, you'll always be a lamb to the slaughter. So this is the problem with humanity. If you cannot, and that's the problem with a lot of these, not so much all the religions, but mainly the Christian religion. There are very few Christian denominations that identify the enemy as to say, well, this leader or that leader, not in a superficial way, a man with horns and a red with a tail and a sword. No, you have to identify who that particular historical figure is. You understand? That way you can say in modern times, or even in the historical times, who these people were. And that is a problem. For example, when it talks about the leopard, they said that the leopard can't change the spots. Or the person, I think they said that the leopard conquered very fast. That's Alexander the Greek. That's the European Gentiles. They conquered fast through what? The weaponry. Ephesians 2 verse 2 says that the devil is the prince of the power of the air. That's what's happening here. In Ethiopian war with Italy, that's how they dominated and conquered Ethiopia, through the prince of the power of the air, using air force. The same with Japan, Nagasaki and Hiroshima. The same with Iraq, like I tell all you, they dropped the same amount of bombs in World War I and World War II in one night in Iraq. And they still was able to survive. So what we're seeing here is the beast power from century to century doing the same thing. But Setcho, I'm going to close this last thing and I'll let you come in. We have to see the identity of the people involved. The dictionary defines Semitic as a subfamily of Afro-Asiatic languages.
Amen,
Yiddish is not included.
Brother. Amen.
Yiddish is not included. Who speaks Yiddish?
Amen.
The occupiers. So they're not Semitic. They're from Japhet. Check Genesis 10 on the descendants of Shem and the descendants of Ham. They have between Shem and Ham, Havilah and Sheba are related. They have two of them with the same correspondence. But in Japhet, Ashkenaz, as Jim was saying earlier, Ashkenazim. If you look up the word Ashkenazi or Ashkenazim in the dictionary, it will tell you Jews of Eastern Europe. And Yiddish is a Germanic language, not a Hebrew language. So these things is what people are not aware of to identify who these people really are, Where is their origin? There's a part, I think, in Kings, where it said that when they came into the Holy Land, lions started to eat them alive. This is in the Bible. Lions started to eat these people alive. And the Hebrew Israelite, the African Hebrew Israelite, have to come and show them how to conduct themselves in the Holy Land so the lions won't eat them. The pastors don't touch these scriptures. That's the problem. The pastors only deal with feel-good religion. A bunch of singing and clapping and shouting. That's not. There's no actual instruction going on in a lot of these holy places. You see what I'm saying? For example, the song Amazing Grace. People of African descent should not sing that song. Why? It was authored and by a slave master who realized after enslaving people that he was being wrong. He was a wretch. He was lost. Can you imagine the Ku Klux Klan singing Redemption song by Bob Marley? Can you imagine that? That is just the same as bad as African people sing Amazing Grace. So that's how spiritually enslaved we are.
I mean, I don't want to laugh about it, but it's insane.
That's how spiritually enslaved we are.
You know
Go
what
ahead, brother.
You know what I'm just looking at? From what I've been able to listen to this night, 9/11 was a scam. Are you saying Hiroshima, Nagasaki was also a scam?
Yes, because Mandela said, Nelson Mandela, let me just interject quickly. Nelson Mandela said, and there's a video with him saying this, after Japan, I can feel goosebumps, I'm speaking to you. After Japan surrendered on all fronts, they still bomb them. If I have my hands up, no weapons, and you shoot me, that's unjustified. So if Japan surrendered on all fronts, there was no reason to drop the bomb. Mandela said that. He's quoted saying live.
And not only that, but Gandhi's in the same aspect. And not only that, but the Dalai Lama is all in the same aspect of that.
Meaning?
Okay.
Meaning?
Well, like,
meaning?
Gandhi continued colonization, and he failed.
Correct. Okay, got you now. Got you now.
Yeah.
Got you. I
Okay.
just want to clarify that. Yes, he was very racist. Correct.
Now, are we now talking about Israel? That
Yes.
Israel's Hamas war is also having some element of scam?
That's correct. That's what I'm saying. Remember, the paraplegic, they bombed him finally, but the leader of Hamas at one point was Sheikh Yassin. He was chosen over Yasser Arafat by the Israelis. And so they supported him financially and militarily. I mean, it don't make sense, but that's what happened. That's what took place.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
Be clear. Who supported him? What faction?
The Israelis.
Oh,
the government of Israel supported him. This is documented. This
sounds like the Banana Republic, what America did to South America. I mean,
exactly.
It's like exactly the same playbook over and over.
That's what we're supposed to be able to identify the enemy. They said I'll show you an example of spiritual enslavement. Are you aware in South Carolina in 2015, there was a young Caucasian fellow who went into a historical church in South Carolina, Emmanuel Baptist Church, and murdered 9 people? Are you aware of that incident?
Yes, I am.
Setro, with that?
No.
Okay. I brought it up because I want to show you an example of spiritual enslavement. This guy came into the church. First of all, if that was a nation of Islam, of the Muslims, he would have been searched. That's number one. Secondly, when it's up, let him in. But even if he tried to get in, he would have been searched. And when they search him, he would refuse to be searched. Then they would have to tackle him and find he had a gun on him. But because the Christian religion teaches us to love your enemy, to turn your other cheek, and to put the foot of the cross, they allow this devil to come among them. And this is another thing. If you in your house frying fish, chicken, French fries, whatever, and one drop of water drops in hot oil, is it going to splash up? Of course. So therefore, if you're in a spiritual environment and a negative energy comes in, you're supposed to immediately identify that negative energy. They could not do that because they're spiritually enslaved. And that's because of the teachings of the Bible that were implanted in there from something called a slave Bible of 1807. When you're going to have Romans 13 say, do not resist the higher powers because the Most High put them there. That means that Mandela was wrong. That means that George Washington was wrong to go against Britain. That means that all the freedom fighters of the world was wrong to go against the oppressor. That doesn't make any sense. But because it's in the Bible, they accept it as true.
Okay.
So the truth and lie are mixed in the Bible.
What you're thinking of how the King James Bible was written? The what they call it started with a C,
1611.
the name of yes. What was that about?
Okay, Kim, again, remember there were different Bibles before. There was the Tyndale Bible and the Geneva Bible. The oldest of all is the Ethiopian Bible. 80 books, hundreds of years older than the King James. You see what I'm saying? And the Ethiopian Bible has anything that King James do not have. It has more books and more information, more detailed information in Ethiopian Bible. But the King James is all versions are deceptive. The European versions, especially, because remember now, we had a slave Bible. It's being kept now in Washington D.C. Museum, also in Fisk University in America. So if you could write a slave Bible, what else you can do? When you tampering with a holy word, 90% of the Hebrew Old Testament was deleted, and 50% of the Greek scriptures or New Testament was deleted out of the slave Bible.
That's what I was saying earlier.
So,
that's what I was saying.
So they are tampering with the word. Go ahead, sorry.
You know, the funny stuff from this, I can now begin to see more reason why even in Israel, they decided to still hold on to their Jewish system of worship. Because all this tampering here and there can be going on the Bible, and the main people that seem to have a kind of
they're afraid that the actual Bible reveals that Jesus was an African. That they don't want that to come out.
Well, that's another controversial issue now, because remember now, this is another thing you see. Again, deception. Number one, the letter, and my father was a Liberian, so I know I'm talking. I was introduced to encyclopedias at a very early age. And the World Book Encyclopedia on the origin of the letter J says that the J was the last letter added to the English alphabet after Z in the year 1524. So before 1524, there was nobody called Jesus, no Jehovah, no Jonah, Jerusalem. You see what I'm saying? And also in Aramaic, Greek, and Hebrew language, the letter J does not exist. So how could they have Jesus existing by that name when the letter J didn't exist? That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, you can find. Just Google.
But wouldn't they use Yeshua as the? Wouldn't that?
Exactly. The Y. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hezekiah. Jeremiah is the Y. Nayabingi. You see what I'm saying? Ayah. Ayah Asher. Ayah means I am that I am. So what they did, it's a very skillfully done by removing the original language, which is the letter Y, and putting the J. This is a great deception, because like I said, first, another thing is, in 1564, there was a ship called Jesus of Lubeck, also known as the good ship Jesus, that was commissioned by Queen Elizabeth I to authorize Sir John Hawkins to transport Africans to Caribbean. This good ship Jesus. There's also, are you aware of the coast of Kenya? There's a Fort Jesus. Are you aware of that?
Okay.
Central? Are you aware of that?
No.
It was built by the Portuguese in 1569 here around that time. It's in the shape of a man.
And that was around the Moors, right? Correct?
Yeah, there was a big conflict between the Portuguese Catholics and the Muslims for control of slavery on the east coast of Africa. So the Portuguese built that fort named Fort Jesus. It's a you could Google it. Just Google Fort Jesus in Kenya. It's a what you call a tourist attraction right now.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
You know what? Let me now tell you my own personal observation. My observation is this. I have also discovered across time that everybody have the right to believe whatever they want to believe, however they choose to believe. I've seen people that are believing in trees and the tree works for them. I've seen people that are believing in iron, metal, and the metal works for them. And I've also experienced my own belief. I call Jesus. I can call him Yeshua. I can call him what's it called? Olodumare in Yoruba. I can call him
I've heard that.
uh,
Yeah, I heard that.
Awima Yeun in Yoruba. I can call him many names. But I've discovered that it works for me. So when whoever changes whatever part of the holy books has that contention with God, because it's also stated in Revelations that as many that take, because God himself knows that some idiots are going to try to take away from the word of God. Said whoever takes any part or add any part to this word of God,
Mhm.
he meted out the judgment for such persons. But
Can I
now,
ask a
Correct.
question? Can I
but
ask
now
a
is this,
question?
before you ask the
Wait,
question, so that I don't forget, I
Well, hold on.
want
Let me finish.
I want Africans to have an open mind. The greatest problem we have in the world today, especially amidst African, is because we sink in everything that was handed over to us without remembering that we have what we call cerebra, the brain, to think with. Now, regardless of the religion you practice, you don't need to be told how precious the gift of life is. So, whatever you practice, you know that taking the life of fellow human being is not even morally right. Before you now think of the spiritual implication, that's one. Then two, whatever you have been handed over that will make you think that this world is to be lived on the bed of roses, you are making a mistake, because even the Christianity that we are clinging to, if you read through the Bible, you will discover that those that are the patriarch of old, they fought wars. So you saying anything that you need to stand up and defend your right, if you are miscalculating and exposing your family to say you are turning the right cheek when you are supposed to face off evil from your family, from your country, from your continent. Africans, I'm talking to us now. If you think, oh, they are doing this, the Bible says turn the left click. We are not turning any left. If it is high time to defend motherland, to defend your family, to prevent ourselves from fighting, from being dragged into war. Because the keynote of this discussion tonight is the fact that, sometimes I'm deliberately not answering some questions directly. Um, Sometimes I'm deliberately not answering some questions directly. Why? Because I'm just creating a kind of satirical uh laugh, uh, out of the foolishness that the world is playing. They are playing us for a game. How do you explain to me that Israel, that is well experienced in war, will suddenly be left open for not even a country to invade, but just minute set of people to come and attack them and kill precious lives there? That is something that needs to be explained by the Israeli defense, those in charge of defense. They need to explain to the world how it came about. Were they on sabbatical leave? Were they having a feast of no protection? Then so that we don't just talk to one side, we should also be asking ourselves, what religion are we practicing? If you say you are Hamas and what have you, and the best thing you can do is to go and kill people while they are asleep, while they are in bed and the likes, is the two parties that have done wrong. I'm not taking chance. I'm not
yeah,
taking.
but let me ask
Is
you
the
this quick
is the
question.
two
But
parties?
seriously, but what has caused more death in the whole entire world? I would have to say if wars are constituted in a way, they're based on something, and usually it's religion.
Correct.
Yes, and they are using this religion stuff to polarize the world, to divide the world, to make us be at loggerheads with each other. This religion should be followed with the use of our brain. If your religion is saying that you should, okay, Hamas is saying that they should wipe out the state of Israel, that they should, what? Why? If Israel is saying they should wipe out Hamas, the question is why? We need to ask ourselves this question: is Israel, what's it called? Is Israel saying that they should wipe out Hamas? No, I have not seen that anywhere. That is
Is
being written.
Israel powerful without American funding? Yes or no?
No, no, no. We're not going to that yet. Now we're asking question on the killings. This killing is becoming annoying. I'm just trying to
The
put
killings
myself
are funded by
on both,
billions of
on both
dollars.
sides. On both sides. Now the question is, somebody is out there trying to drag the world.
You're
It's not
saying
just
somebody's funding the Palestinians? Because it is actually true.
somebody
It is
is out
actually
there.
true. It is actually true.
Somebody is out there trying to drag the whole world into a world conflict. And they do this deliberately using calculated dates to recycle and reshape the world, bring it, I'm an economist. That is what we call equilibrium point. If you want to destabilize the equilibrium point, you introduce some distortions so that by the time the distortions is going up, everybody is distracted, then it comes back to a particular interested equilibrium point that will benefit some certain few numbers of people. This is how the world has been controlled over and over. They recycle the economies of the world after each world, after each wars rather. They use these wars to perpetrate a whole lot of monetary exchanges and putting checks and balances like a control mechanism on the earth. It reduces population. It redistributes. What's it called? It reconcentrates, rather not redistribute. It reconcentrates finance into the hands of some few numbers of people so that they continue to be in charge of the world. As we are talking about this war, some people are smiling to the banks. Some people are smiling to the banks. They are happy.
And let's just talk about the central banks. Let's just talk about who owns the central banks. Is the federal central the Fed runs the world, right?
Federal
We know
Reserve,
it's a
Federal
fiat.
Reserve, Federal Reserve.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about bankers for a second. Who owns the banks? Currently, I think there's 6. We have SWIFT and we have the IMF, both controlled by America. If you had one person, or let's get technical here, if you had one ethnic background that was in control and does have dual citizenship within the United States Congress and it's legal, what one would it be? I mean, I'm so sorry to set the question up like that, but yeah, the answer is like, I mean, come on, guys. The obvious answer is banks create war. They fund both sides and they make money off of it. I mean,
Exactly.
who owns the who owns the banks?
That's $1 million question. And these are the things that the common person does not investigate. They see what they put a false narrative of. Here's one part is a good guy, the other part is a bad guy. You see, they always create an enemy and a friend. So most people, because of the propaganda, is low between the lines. If like I said, I was saying earlier, if I come into your house, I limit you to only going to the washroom and the bathroom, and you can't come to any. You can't living room, you can't go to the bedroom, can't go. You know what I mean? The dining room. How are you going to feel? So that's what happened. In South Africa, there's no different in South Africa. When the boys came there, the bitches came there. They limit. It's called apartheid. It's all apartheid. Once you're going to touch a person, they limit it to where they could go to. That's apartness.
But you
So
can't say
you
it's
created
an
a apartheid
apartheid state
system.
from. You can't say it's an apartheid state from in Lebanon. You can't say that. You can't say the Gaza Strip is apartheid. You can't say that. What are you talking
You go to
about? I
jail for
mean,
that.
yeah, you know what I'm saying, right?
But that's what I'm saying. So that's exactly what happened. It's no different than the segregation in the United States. You can't go to this water fountain. You can't go to this bathroom. You can't go to school. It's the same people in different parts of the earth perpetuating the same injustice. That's what's happening here. So therefore, we have to understand who the enemy
Wait,
really is.
yeah, and I'm going to ask you this question. Have you narrowed it down? I have. I believe it's a foreign policy agenda that's created by Zionism. Do you agree or disagree?
And that's a fact. That's a fact. As a matter of fact, when Menachem Begin told Anwar Sadat, we have great history in this country, Anwar Sadat told him, we have no record of that, of those people have taken part in any part of the Egyptian history. Because another set of people, like I said, there's a video I'm trying to send to you, said to maybe Jim too, of Israel before 1948. And all you're seeing is dark skinned men, women, and children. There's no person of lighter complexion there in any abundance. But they were the first that were kicked out. And the Palestinians came in. And after the Palestinians came in, then the Germans came in, what they call themselves Israeli today, but actually German origin. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that they allowed it to happen. I mean, anybody with common sense with the defense they have, it is impossible to penetrate Israel defense. So simple. You know what I'm saying? That was allowed to happen to create this attitude to attack or retaliate.
Right. And by the way, Israel and by the way, Israel has nuclear weapons. Just to make this clear for everybody, so everybody knows. You know, who has the weapons of mass destruction? Peacekeepers?
That's the middle.
Yeah, right.
Nope. You see? Okay. And this is the problem. So therefore, go ahead, Secho. Go ahead, Secho.
Okay. I just want to read the comments by Dr. Cheryl. I love this comment. She said, they both need to take a step back and let God answer the question. And if they don't hear a response simultaneously, they should abandon their mission. We need to hear from God and not. Okay. She continued there. She said, they both need to step back, and if they don't hear from God simultaneously, they should abandon their mission and set up a mental health task force and demand that their leaders get treatment. Wow.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Wow. That's a good point.
That's brilliant. Wow. That is brilliant.
You see, you see, this is the problem. You see, the leaders, they always stay untouched. The last president to fight in Africa was the president of Chad, and he was killed on the battlefield. You know, the last president, United States, was John F. Kennedy. You know, he was injured also. So I'm saying they stay back and they punch the buttons, and the young children and young women and children are dying on the battlefield. So this is the point. She's correct. You see, the problem is that, like I say, Hamas is funded by the what you call the intruders. You know what I'm saying? So you know, it's a serious thing. Remember now, I told
okay,
in Iraq.
And just to reiterate,
they supported them.
You said Hamas is funded by who?
Yes, let me.
By the intruders, the ones who claiming to be the rightful owners, residents of that country. I don't want to call a name. I'm just saying. This is what I'm saying. You remember now? I mentioned Sheikh Ahmed Yassin. Sheikh Ahmed Yassin was the same time, existing the same time with Yasser Arafat. Okay, but the present occupiers went against Yasser Arafat and sided with Ahmed Yassin.
What about Menachem?
And he's the one that's the heading of Hamas. So why would you, by the mere fact you supporting that particular person and their group, That means you're encouraging crime. I'll show you an example. In America, was something called a ghost gun, meaning that you can legally be shipped a gun that you can assemble legally, even if you have a license, and it was shipped to people all over the United States, here in the Caribbean, etc. So when you do that, that means you're encouraging crime. So the same thing here. What they're doing is they're encouraging what they call terrorist groups. Remember, they just found out in the French Francophone states that France was funding Boko Haram and all these people at Shabab, and you see what I'm saying? It's a what you call, it's a very serious situation. But if you read between the lines, you will see. Remember, the only person allowed to travel out of the United States on September 11th was the Bin Laden family. Nobody else.
Exactly. And
Yet you
not
say he's
only
your
that,
enemy.
but not only that, but just like the Iran Contra affair with Reagan, exactly the same thing you're
Oh, that's
explaining.
unrecognized.
You're explaining the exact same thing. They'll give guns. They'll give guns to people
To the Sandinistas.
for a proxy. It's unreal how many proxy wars are going across this world right now. And by the way, Africa has a ton of bases, military bases. And I asked Deo this
Over
question
20,
about
over 29.
yeah.
About 29
asked
US bases. How could you allow that?
And I asked Deo this question, and maybe he can reiterate. Deo, do you think those American bases are there to settle and help peaceful people get along, or do you think they're there for something else?
They are there to help Africans to
You really believe that? You really believe it?
To take good care of our resources, whether we like it or not.
Now you see this. I heard the African leader say. You see that statement now again, my brother. These, first of all, never let your enemy in your backyard.
Definitely.
Who killed Lumumba? Who was behind? The CIA was behind the assassination of Patrice Lumumba. That's a fact. They admitted that in the what you call again? World News, not World News. Today in history. Today in history recorded that the CIA admitted being involved in assassination of Patrice Lumumba, first democratically African elected president of the Congo. And we could go some other countries. America and Israel supported the South African apartheid system. That's facts. You see what I'm saying? So my point is that we have to be, again, like I say, part of education of humans is being able to discern, be able to identify who the enemy is. If the United States has so many bases there, why are there so much conflict still in Africa? It's one of the top military in the world. Something is wrong. In other words, having American bases in the country.
We just give billions of dollars to Ukraine. I mean, geez, we can't get this right. What is going wrong here? We have war front after war front. And by the way, Taiwan is an issue on the table now. I mean, if America looks weak right now, this is interesting. This is, I don't like the word prophecy, but if you use in biblical terms, that people are going to believe this stuff, right? And that I want to hear your take on that, because I'm not 100%. I don't believe in books. I think a little bit differently on the Bible. I think the council of what was it? Council of
Nicaea.
Nicaea. Yeah, Nicaea. I think that really messed up. Yeah. And that for me,
Constantine
that did it. Once I found that out, I was like, okay, I can't read the Bible anymore.
Okay. Now let me quickly state it here that there is no religion that does not have one side or the other, that God himself expects you to use your brain to know what to do part time. And that is why, as a Christian, we believe that you have the Holy Spirit to guide you into all truth, because the Bible was written in the past for us to learn from what was happening in the past, but we are the Bible of today because
Yeah, but the
our life.
Bible was written like 200 something years
Let,
after
let, him- let, him-
Jesus
let him
died.
finish start. Let him
So
finish his
our
start. Let him finish his start first.
our life is a script that is being written every day. The lifestyle you live, how much of other people that you love to see alive, what you are doing to keep yourself, your family, and those that are not your family alive. God is judging everything. And tomorrow, your lifestyle, my lifestyle, can be a book to guide people into the next truth. Because part time, there is something that is always called the truth. And that is why we need to be very, very careful when we are looking at the books, the Bible, other books. We should ask ourselves questions. The life I'm living now, and what I'm about to do, if somebody does this to my children, will I, not even God now, will I be happy about it? Because the world is undergoing a whole lot of character defamation now. We don't even know what to believe in. We don't even know what to believe at, rather. We don't, when somebody is saying A, should we be thinking Z? When somebody is saying good morning, it's like the world is turning to a point that when somebody says good morning, you just need to go and check, is it really morning or night? Because you see, oh, they've killed thousands of people there, and before you know it, because of religious cloudiness and likes, you're like, who do they kill? Oh, they kill Christians. Who are those that kill Christians? Muslims. Oh, let's go and fight. At the end of the day, if you do not take a break and just say, who did you say they killed? They killed Christian. Why? How did it happen? And by the time you begin to listen, oh, how it happened was that the Christian was sleeping. He opened the door. He didn't shut the door. He put a gun beside his bed. Then you begin to ask yourself the question: why would the Christian put the gun beside the bed and he's sleeping and his door is open? We need to start asking questions before acting, before jumping the bandwagon, because that is what majority of the Africans have been played. That we have been played for so long for a fool. Oh, they are fighting in Israel. That is not our problem. We have
So,
more problems in Africa to solve. That, oh, they
yeah,
are
and
fighting.
it's not America's problem either, unfortunately. I mean,
They are
people don't
fighting.
understand that.
They are fighting in Israel. Oh, who are those that are fighting in Israel? Oh, it's Hamas. Oh, who are Hamas? Hamas are Muslim. They killed the Israeli. Oh no, we are going to fight. You are just becoming another world recognized fool, idiot, because you have been served a lunch that you might not recover from. A lunch of hatred for fellow human beings, a lunch of deception by some strategically placed human being that want you to be at war with your own brother. If they are fighting over there, Africans should send them messages on please don't fight and please don't bring the war here because we are not interested. We have been exploited. Are you talking of exploitation? We have been exploited continuously for several years that we do not even know what to believe in again. But the only thing is that we know that whether Jesus was black or green or purple or white, we have a life to live, which is to positively impact our world for the better. And we are not another tool for anybody's manipulation. We cannot be manipulated again. You cannot make us to now start siding either Hamas or Israel. We are wiser than that, because even we discover that we, the blacks, are also Jews.
Original.
Yeah.
Original.
So you
That's the whole
Yeah,
painting
point.
You
yeah,
painting, you painting Jewish to be one particular color to us is none of our
No, no, no,
business.
no.
We
Not
yeah.
understand now that
Not
the Jews is not a particular color. It's all about your mindset of living right, believing what is right, doing what is right to your next door neighbor. I have Muslim friends that are even better than some of my Christian friends in character, in behavior. So I don't want people to come and pollute the mind of those Muslims to now see me as their worst enemy. The same way I don't want anybody to poison my mind to now start seeing Muslims as my worst enemies, because it will not improve our condition in Africa. And mind you, all of these things are orchestrated to cause global distractions.
Okay, can I ask a quick
correct.
question? Real quick, for the gentleman, sir, what is your name again?
For me,
Yes, sir.
yeah, Emmanuel, yeah, Emmanuel, that's what Emmanuel, yeah,
Emmanuel. Um,
yeah.
uh, it, what of the three religions that you think, the Abraham, is there any one, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only one that really tries to convert somebody else over? Or I thought, if I'm not mistaken, that the Judeo line is through a bloodline. I think it's the same with the kind of, in the same sense with the Muslim. But do you think that the Christian is the only one that wants to try to go and spread and listen to the Bible like it says, and go out there and convert people? Do you think that's rightful in a sense, in a worldview?
Well, again, that's how both Islam and Christianity was spread through the Quran, the Bible, and the sword and the gun. That's historically facts. Remember now the Eastern. Remember there's something called the trans-Saharan slave trade, where Muslims, a lot of them black Africans, enslaved not only their own African people, but enslaved Caucasians. They call it Barbary pirates. You see what I'm saying? So under the guise of the religion, Islam, slavery was conducted in a large scale. Yes, Africa had slavery skirmishes among one another, but through the Arabic and the Muslim and the Christian Jewish slave trade, transatlantic slave trade, a lot of atrocities were committed on a large scale. The problem I have with the both of them are aggressive when it comes to imposing, saying this is the only way to live, when in fact, when you check, for example, let's take for example what happened in Morocco recently. About 2 years ago, recently in Morocco there was an earthquake. I see that as maybe a judgment of the Most High, because remember 2 years or 3 years ago, some Africans tried to go to Morocco, went to Morocco trying to reach Europe, and some were killed. I saw video footage of them being beaten and brutally taking abuse of them in Morocco by the Moroccan authorities. You see what I'm saying? And they're Muslims. You see what I'm saying? So the point I'm saying is that the same with the Christians now, you have the same situation with the transatlantic slave trade, and also Britain. Britain is Christian, France is Christian, Germany is Christian, Denmark. All these countries are Christian countries, but they have exploited
And not
Africa
only
and
that,
other
but
parts of the world for centuries.
and not only that, but in America alone, there's 1,000 or plus more denominations of Christianity. Is that correct?
That's a Tower of Babel. That's a Tower of Babel. Some hold the Sabbath, some
I
don't hold the
mean,
Sabbath.
yeah. I
Some
mean,
eat
this not.
pork, some don't
I
eat
mean,
pork. I
how
mean,
do folks?
it's
I mean, how
confusion.
do folks? I mean, seriously, how do folks digress their discernment process? How do they get through the labyrinth of this? I mean, give me your advice.
It's hypnosis. That's what I'm saying. With Islam, the same thing. There's so many different groups of the other 5%ers. They got the Sheikh, they got the this, they got the that. Islam has division, Christianity has division, Judaism has division. The problem is, as you say, there's only one creator, but everybody wants to be the leader and house of the rising sun. Everybody wants to be the one that said, this is the only way. And that creates animosity in the world, like Sacha was saying. We have to live in harmony. I would be the first to join any religion when all the members of that religion are spared the disaster from an earthquake, a volcano, a hurricane, a flood, etc. But that has never happened. So that proves that all of us are in the same equal boat, none higher than the other. If Christians alone are spared from hurricane, I'm going to be a Christian. If Muslim alone is spared from hurricane, I'm going to be a Muslim, etc., a Jew. But the point is that it has caused so much strife in the world because of religious wars. You see what I'm saying?
Have you
Again, with the
have
Christian,
you
it's contradictory. No, just
have you
okay. I'm
noticed a
just saying with the
rise?
Christian, one of the problems. Mhm. Go ahead.
Have you noticed a rise in agnosticism um, under the forms of like Huxley? Have you dived into the fact that Carl Jung and the transhuman? Do you think that that kind of plays into what like the psyche of like what's going on in the modern day right now?
You can see what happened. People are disillusioned with the religious allegiance because I see so much contradiction in religions. You're telling me that you worship a creator and you're supposed to show love and you're showing hate. So then, of course, I'm not going to want to be involved with that because you're contradicting yourself. You're supposed to live in harmony with the whole of humanity. You have your right, the church was saying, everyone has a right, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights give you a right of freedom of worship, of spirituality. But when you're going to impose your way or you're going to contradict what you're supposed to be doing, then that turns people against coming to your faith because they
Well,
see too
that's
much
why I brought.
contradiction.
Yeah, that's why I brought up agnosticism because it's almost like they call it fence sitting, and people, I happen to say that's still taking a choice. If I do decide to not decide, I've made a choice, and I think that
Exactly.
people are yes.
That's the
Okay.
problem. You see, there's so many things, so many things.
Okay. At this point in time, we want to wrap up our discussion on this issue. We really appreciate everyone that has come on board tonight to talk about this Israeli, Palestinian, Lebanese war because it's now expanding to Lebanese and it's even becoming something Iranian Israeli war. Because if you look at the what's it called, the Hamas, they are saying, according to publications, that Hamas is funded by Iran, and what's the name of this other group in Lebanon? Is also sponsored
Hezbollah,
by
Hezbollah, Hezbollah,
is also sponsored by
Hezbollah.
Iran.
Sponsored by $6 billion given to by Joe.
So you can see how this war is technically spreading. Before you know it, Iran is involved, Lebanon is involved, Palestine is already engulfed, and God knows the level of massacre that is going on now between both parties. This is not the kind of world we want to have, and as such, I want Dr. Emmanuel, or let me call you a prof. I want you to uh, give us your concluding part and encourage our African, what's it called, African people on the best way they should, the best uh, attitude that is expected from them to concentrate on their problem because we have our internal wars. And I have not even seen, I don't think I've seen anywhere that when we have challenges in Africa, that Israel is coming to put their mouth into it and the likes. I don't think I've ever seen Israel coming to say they want to do something for Africans because we are being ill-treated by these Western powers. And I want to believe that we should accord them the same respect of not meddling with their business. If they have a war to fight, that is them. We have problems to solve here in Africa. So we should not go and import war into Africa. So the same way, after Professor has spoken, then I want Chukudi, Professor Chukudi, to give us your parting words on this so that we can have a very clear understanding on our point because we are not taking sides. We just want the world to be a better place. So over to you, sir.
Yes, again, like Kenneth Kwanda was involved in what you call a non-aligned conference of nations. They're non-aligned. That's how Africa should be, non-aligned. It does not concern us directly as a militarily, but it concern us what you call economically, yes. But Africa is the biggest continent, so we have so many issues in Africa to deal with. We don't need to involve in outside interference. You see, and that's very important you bring it out because we need so much help in Africa. You see what I'm saying? We have a situation in South Africa where, like I said earlier, it has a serious AIDS problem that's infecting and multiplying, and it was done because of the SIMAR, which is South African Military Intelligence, are the ones under the guise of medical treatment was infecting the South African population with AIDS. So these are the things you got involved in. How we're going to get in control of the gold mine, the diamond mines, the Congo. We have all these different resources in Africa. We need to get control of these resources and take them away further with the Chinese or the Americans or the British or the whoever is. We need to get control of the resources to build up the economy of Africa as a whole. You see what I'm saying? Because they create conflicts in Africa so they could come and plan. If you and I are fighting, they could run into our house and rob our house and we stay fighting. And then when the time we realize our house is robbed, we have nothing. So that's what's happening in Africa. That's happening in Africa. We are fighting among one another. We should not be involved with that because of the fact that we have our own problems on the continent from north to east to south to west. And we should concentrate on solving our own problems before we get involved in a war that was orchestrated by the participants. That's my conclusion on that.
Whoa, whoa. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. We are so happy to have you tonight. You've really done justice to elaborating a lot, and God bless you. So, Chukudi.
Thank you.
Sir, I want to mention the Belt and Road Initiative. That is something that I feel like this little spat we're having in the Middle East has something to do with economy and knowing that the GDP of the world is trying to transfer itself over to a centralized digital currency and give up their house of cards with the fiat finally without admitting guilt. I mean, this has gone on long enough. The revolt has to come from the ground roots, and everything the Cetros Foundation has done with his lovely wife. And by the way, congratulations on the new baby. I did not know. Can you give me a name?
Ibukum.
Ibokum.
Yeah, that's blessing.
Awesome. So I'm so congratulations. You guys are busy beavers. I know how it is. I have five, and I've got one left in the house. I'm just gonna kick them out as soon as possible.
Whoa, whoa,
Just
whoa.
kidding. You know how that is, right? Uh, but anyway, we'll get back to the basics of this. This conversation was wonderful. What we discussed today was an idea that ideologies can be dismissed in a certain sense. We don't need the consciousness of our collective idea, like Deo says so perfectly. He's of service. It's collective mentality. It's simply live so others may simply live. That's where he's right. And on the other side of it, we're pitted. Everybody, we're pitted to take a side. And it's unfortunate that the elites that are transferring wealth and moving upwards with their programs are just still continuing doing what they're doing, and we sit here and do what we do. But our faith, our understanding, and our wanting to know the truth is going to keep us strong. And with that, I say, please support the Cetros Foundation. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so very much. It's such a beautiful night from every one of us here, and want to say thank you. And for those of you that might be seeing this live stream later on, the bottom line of our discourse was to look at the war between Israel and Hamas, and in the long run, the speakers were bringing out points to show that there is more to what we are seeing with respect to this war, and it was becoming more clearer as if there was some undertone of we serve you this opportunity so that we can give you the tongue lash with a massive whip. So we Africans, we need to be very, very careful with the way we want to meddle with this. We should not allow this to be a distraction to us. And we also made it clear that it's like some group of persons or some calculated mindset of few percentage of the world are looking for how to cause a war, a full-blown war across the globe. The target is not just Israel and Hamas. The target is the whole wide world. Somebody is trying to plunge the world into World War III, and that can be averted. That can be made not to happen, because the giant of Africa was supposed to be at war presently, but because something about us, the black Jews in Africa, we have sense and we're not behaving like people that do not have sense. So we have the sense, thank God we're able to caution ourselves to prevent ourselves from being dragged into war with our neighboring brothers and sisters, Niger. And that is one of the learning points that the world across should look at. We should look for the peace of ourselves with our neighbors so that the world can be a peaceful, blossom place to live. The best time to do the right thing is the moment that we are alive. We should not allow this war to escalate beyond measures. Both sides, who is wrong between Israel and Hamas? Both are wrong. If you are coming
Mm.
kill, if you are what's it called, if you are killing innocent citizens because they killed your citizens, also both sides are wrong. We are not siding any party. We want you guys to sit down, iron this out. You can be the best of neighbors. You can coexist and live life meaningfully if you put your house in order. And for us Africans, we can already see that we do not have any good thing to learn from both of you. We need to look inward and continue to build our own life the way we have been fashioned to build our life. We do not want to interfere in your matter. So we beg you, do not come to interfere in our matters. And we are now also seeing one of the best reasons why our states, our African continent, should not be dominated by this level of infiltration. I think everybody should just pay attention to their vicinity, attention to their community. And please, if you think this war is very far away from you, you need to think again, because the war is coming closer. And the best time we can talk about both parties putting their gun back into their pocket is now, before they drag our beloved countries into it. So with that being said, I want to say thank you everyone for joining us for this wonderful session. We are so pleased to have you. Chukudi, I just spelled your name very well. You didn't spell your name very well. Chukudi. This is the spelling.
I so love the fact that you auto corrected me. I had
Yes.
no idea.
Yeah. Chukudi.
And
So
once again, you put out such great energy and effort, and I just want to thank you for your time and allowing me to be on your channel is a blessing. I really appreciate it. And just speak with Madam Claudia and her husband. It's just wonderful. It's just great. This has been a great experience. I'm hungry. I'm gonna go cook. Bye.
thank you so very much. You are part of the family, and that is how the world should be, regardless of the color, the way we are, the location we are giving birth to. Some of you, I see some people saying, "Oh, blow them up, bomb them up." Let me tell you, if you were giving birth to in the places they were throwing explosive, will you still be saying the same thing? I choose not to support any of them. Killing is killing, because we are not termites. We are human beings. So, with that being said, I wish peace upon the earth, though we know that troubles will always come from some group of idiots that want to destabilize the world. but we need to take caution. Africa, let's face our own problem. Let's leave the guys out there in the Middle East. Let them solve their problem. If they can sit down, the better for them. But we in Africa, we have work to do. We are already being invaded every day. So we do not want to add more invasion into our list of problems and worries. So with that being said, we see you next time, next week, Sunday. Thank you for being part of this show. Madam Claudia and Dr. Claudia, the husband, we really appreciate you. I'm hugging you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.